Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and I am reviewing Gringo. An exhilarating mix of dark comedy, white knuckle action, and dramatic intrigue, Gringo joyrides into Mexico, where mild mannered businessman Harold Soyinka finds himself at the mercy of his backstabbing business colleagues, local drug lords, and a morally conflicted Black Ops mercenary. Crossing the line from law-abiding citizen to wanted criminal, Harold battles to survive his increasingly dangerous situation in ways that raise the question, is he out of his depth or two steps ahead? This is rated R. This is a 2018 movie, and it runs an hour and 50 minutes. It stars David Oyelowo, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Joel Edgerton, Charlize Theron, Sharito Copley, Amanda Seyfried, Dandy Newton. There's other people that I kind of recognized a little bit, but yeah. So, lot to talk about this movie. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. The reason why this movie is on my list is because it was in theater and we saw a bunch of commercials. They were pushing it so hard. They wanted people to go see this in theater. It just didn't happen for me. I just didn't feel it. I saw what it was about. I saw it was Mexico. I knew there'd be subtitles. I wasn't going to go watch this in theater. So I finally saw it. Everything that I thought about it then is basically true now. So it has the dry humor, and this happens and that happens. The scene that they really pushed on the previews and commercials back then, when it was coming out, is this call by Harold that he's been kidnapped. And once I've seen the movie now, I think that was not given away too much. So I would have, if I would have seen it in theaters back then, I would have been a little bit surprised and wouldn't have been everything that I thought it was, which was kind of boring back then. So I did enjoy it enough, but it did have the dry humor. And so I can't say that, like anything in the movie exactly like blew me away, but I do think that, it was what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't very surprised. They paint Harold out to be this really smart guy. I don't know what that is. And, he's a businessman, and he's this good guy, and obviously he's able to relate to people. He's that businessman that you want going in and making them laugh and making them feel at ease and everything. He's that guy. Obviously he's, educated. He is married, maybe not happily, but if he's traveling back and forth for your company, if he's that guy, he's obviously relied upon, and he knows his ways and the in and outs and everything, and he should be, as the back cover says, two steps ahead of everything. And then he gets to be painted out to be this really, really stupid person. And I don't know if it wasn't David not passing off the character of Harold, or if it was the writing for Harold that just made him look like this tremendous idiot. But they wanted it to go that way, and it really did go that way, and Harold just seems like this really stupid character and doesn't have any idea what's going on the whole time. It gets a little old, and it's kind of like, come on, man. This guy's supposed to be smart. He's supposed to be the brains of the operation. I mean, come on, let's figure something out. One thing, There's a couple things in this movie that I did not expect to be brutal, but they are brutal. And one is a cutting of a toe, and another is when this train hits this vehicle. Both Both are kind of cool in their own way, but if you don't have a very strong stomach, I wouldn't watch the first part. Just know that what's coming. And then the second part, I mean, if you like Fast and Furious or any kind of action movie, it's kind of cool at the end, the action that takes place. So I thought it was pretty cool with the train. So, just forewarning on that. There's a couple people in this movie that I thought are completely useless. I was just watching, I'm like, okay, come on. Harold's wife is the worst character in this movie. She's not happy. She knows that he's a weak man, so she goes and sleeps with his boss because she just thinks that's what she's supposed to do. And she knows Harold never stand up for himself, and he's on business trips all the time. Well, you're sleeping with this guy that runs a company. He doesn't have any time, and he doesn't care for you or anything. And if you married Harold, you got to know he's a sort of weak man. I mean, he's a nice guy, and he does this and that in a right way, and he works hard. I mean, just the characterization for her made no sense whatsoever. It's like she just does what she thinks she's supposed to do and cheats on her husband and wants a divorce, even though she's the one cheating on him. It doesn't make any sense. And so this white kid and Amanda Seyfried, the whole point of this movie is supposed to be backstabbing and what Harold's going to do. We are suffering through this white kid and this white girl going on a trip to Mexico because the kid wants to do a easy drug run and make a lot of money that'll change his life. And when they announce them in the movie, the segments that they're in this movie, they are just so completely distracting and pointless that it just takes away from the movie. It just slows it down. I know Amanda Seyfried's awesome, but when she gets to talk in this movie, she just feels like she does not fit at all. And this white kid, he's just like, has one motive the whole movie, and that's checking his phone until, an hour, 40 minutes into this movie, something actually happens for him. And then they don't even explain if he gets away or how he gets away, but then he gets arrested. So it's really thrown away at the end. It wasn't made a really big deal. And I felt sorry for him getting arrested because he wasn't part of this huge corporate scheme thing. He just was a guy trying to make some money, and we never really find out about his contact, the kind of sidekick of the company that is trying to have some kind of side project going on. And it just gets really confusing. And that's how it feels when you're watching this movie. It's just like, oh my gosh, where are we at? What are we doing? Who's this person? What are they trying to do? Nothing gets explained. You're just supposed to kind of guess along the way. The thing about this movie that just kind of got me, and I had to write it down, is that it's really bad when it's down, and it's really good when it's up. I mean, like Harold has this scene where the guy from A Team is the bad corporate guy's brother that comes to save Harold, and that gets confusing. But like they figured out that they're going to do this thing together, this kind of plan, and so they go have drinks and they're dancing, and I'm like, okay, everything that Harold's been through in this movie, why is he just walking down the middle of the street dancing? Then the next scene, he gets kidnapped again. It's like, dude, figure it out. I mean, this is part of him being so stupid that I'm just like wondering what the heck he's thinking by walking down the street after we've had this, and this happen to him. And he thinks he can just walk down the street and go dancing and be happy because one thing seems like it's really great and everything's figured out. I mean, it's like, this is a big thing. It's a corporate mess of drugs and money and all this other stuff, and he's just carefree. And then we have such terrible moments, like I just we're just so down when we're down, we're up when we're up, There's no middle ground. There's no consistency. It's nothing from what I want movies to be. I mean, it's good when it's up, and I enjoyed it, and it's fine, and there's good conversation, because they're all happy. But I mean, I tell you, the only thing that left was something I saw coming, and I hope all of you do too if you've seen this movie. Is this character named Angel? He is good in the beginning. He's kind of Harold's kind of contact when he travels, and he's good buddies with him. And Harold thinks of him like nobody else would, and gets him food because he doesn't need it, and he doesn't want to throw it away or anything. People need to be good people like that, and I thought that was a great part of the movie, just being a human and thinking of others other than yourself. And Angel kind of helps that message be displayed. Well, he's the biggest twist of this movie at the end. Of course, we have to wait so long for it to finally be a twist. Happens with about 10 minutes left in the movie, 5 minutes left in the movie. And I mean, I sort of saw it coming, and I knew he was a big deal, but I love how they handled him. I love how he acted, and I loved how he, was acting like he didn't speak English, and then at the end, it's kind of a really big, funny joke finding out that he does speak English. Just the way that was handled, I love that character. I love the way that guy acts. I think I've seen him in a couple other things. He's a good guy. So I would totally say that there are good parts of this movie. It's kind of confusing and it's kind of hard to know what to say. But my biggest thing is the subtitles. Movies like this will never be a really huge hit for anybody. I can't imagine anybody fell in love with this movie. I mean, it's just so scattered brained, but I can understand why they would like certain parts of it. But I just cannot read subtitles all the time, man. I can't. I don't know. I can't focus with the movie. I can't relate to it. If it's going to have subtitles most of the time, it's just not going to be a huge hit. You can have commercials for it for weeks and months trying to push it, make people go to this movie because you have all these big names. But if you're going to have subtitles in it, nobody really freaking cares. I mean, I'm sorry, but I cannot connect with these movies. I can't do anything about it. And then they're pushed down our throats, and we have to eventually watch them. So I saw it, but do I really want to suffer through that again, even with the big stars and the good story and the good twists and all that stuff? It doesn't really measure up. So for the enjoyment factor of this, I'm going to give it a B minus. But I think that's pretty generous because I mean, what can you do with movies that have subtitles? I mean, unless you're really into that and you're really focused on the movie and watching it all the time, which I really am most of the time. I sit here, I stare at the screen and watch everything and write notes. But how many people do that? I mean, most of us are on a phone or something or distracted. We can't just sit and watch a movie for 2 hours. So I just can't imagine what kind of audience is attracted to this. So B minus for Gringo. Up and down, scatterbrained, confusing. That's the summary. So, thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other reviews, try and give some of them a watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies. Thanks.